Juck. We are not bemoaning the noon kickoff. We are now owning it. It's a badge of honor. We're the lunatic fringe that defines our coach's legacy when it comes to this game. They don't get to define that outside the family. We're cut from a different cloth. We're Ohioans. He's got it all, man. He's even got the jaw. You know the jaw. You see that jaw and you're just like, yeah, man, that's a dude. Do I want Michigan to beat Oklahoma? No way in hell. I don't know what world I'm living in. This is insane to me. And if you saw my outburst, I apologize. It's showtime now. Hey, welcome to Juck on Bucks. Appreciate you so much for joining me. There is something that I love to do since I started the show, and it's something I've always done. But what's more fun here now that I've started the show is I'm getting, not quite yet to 2 years. I've got maybe, 4 months before I get to like 2 years. And now I'm starting to be able to see like evidence of some of my predictions coming to fruition. And it makes me really satisfied and I love it. So I like to project what players are going to turn into. I like to do it with recruits. I like to do it with guys when they come in and try to project forward. And it is always very satisfying when you find one and you find him early and get on him before anybody else in the public is really talking about him. But in addition to that, like you can't just go and say everybody is going to be that type of dude. I also say when I don't think a guy is that guy. I also think when, people are hyping up a particular player that, yeah, I think he's more of an average type player. So I have to say that. People don't like it when I say that, but I have to, or else nothing means anything when I say like, no, this guy is actually that guy. So with that said, today will be a prediction video about a player that the Buckeyes have on their roster. And I got to say, there is a part of the intro here that I'm only half kidding about, right? There's a part of the intro here when I'm talking about guys, and I got it all, man. He's even got the jaw. You know the jaw. You see that jaw, and you're just like, yeah, man, that's a dude. When I look at Jaylen McLain, look at that jaw. How could he be anything but fantastic? And the truth is, Jaylen McLain is fantastic, and this is a guy who out of Seton Hall Prep in New Jersey, dad played at Syracuse, super competitive guy, joined the Ohio State class of 2024 to very little fanfare. One of those bottom of the list dudes. We talk about those 10 guys that make up the bottom of the class. And if 3 of those guys become a contributor, you have done a good job. And when we look at that bottom 5, which is where Jaylen McLain was, man, it's a low percentage of those guys who ever end up being a contributor of any kind. And a starter, wow, that's something. Now, both of Perry Eliano, former safety coach, both of his safeties in the class of 2024, very lowly rated guys. You had Leroy Roker, second from the bottom, the 155th ranked player safety in the country, not player, safety, 155. McLain was about number 50, the 50th best safety in the country. And people were mad about these two safeties. People were so mad, many thought that's why Perry Eliano didn't make it past that year, in large part due to his recruiting. And I guess the question is, was Perry Eliano a bad recruiter, or was he just a better talent evaluator than everybody else? Because you wouldn't look and say, if Jaylen McLain is your headliner, that you were doing a stellar job at Ohio State back in 2024. At least that's not how it looked coming out of high school. And I am here to say, man, I sat there 5 rows from the top of Ohio Stadium on Saturday against Texas, and Jaylen McLain was everywhere. Now you expect to see guys popping, right? You're watching Ohio State and Texas, 2 of the best recruiting programs in the country. And you've seen a lot of these guys from high school, their junior year, and known their careers and watched them come up in big recruitments. Devin Sanchez was out there in the final couple of drives, and that makes sense to you. It all lines up. These are huge, flashy recruits, Arch Mannings and Julian Sayans. You're watching Ohio State, Texas. You don't expect one of those bottom of the tier guys. And when I say bottom of the tier for Ohio State and Texas, we're still talking about great football players, but you don't expect them in game 1 of their second year to be one that's flashing all over the field. But Jaylen McLain was doing just that. This is a guy who in his freshman year at Ohio State was playing on a loaded roster. A loaded roster. He was out there playing, and you exited that year, his true freshman year, with him seemingly having the leg up on Malik Hartford. Then we come into the spring, and it was apparently Hartford who had pulled ahead. He was running with the ones all spring, and okay, he must have had himself a great fall or a great winter, put on some mass. He certainly looks bigger. Hartford, not a bottom of the board guy. Hartford, a top 100 player from Ohio who is 6'3", and he's fast and he's a hammer. And then you got little McLain. He looks small compared to the rest of them. This dude won that spot back clearly because we come in against Texas, and granted, the situation might dictate who's going to play a little more than the other. We were thinking coming into this, I don't think that's really the case anymore because McLain was just fantastic against one of the best teams in the country. I think he will consistently play more, though we will see some of Hartford. McLain played every step. Hartford didn't play any. McLain is a different type of animal, man. He's a different dude. And we talk about Caleb Downs, and we'll never have another safety as good as Caleb Downs. But all the little things that Caleb does, all the little things that he does to make the defense so much better, it can only stand to help McLain playing with him and learning from him. And when you talk to Matt Guerrieri, he's a sponge like Caleb Downs. He's all about his work. He beats him in to the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. He's his first year was, had to put on weight. So he's shoveling food down in the morning. Guerrieri talks about how he hates to eat. He knows he hates to eat in the morning, and he's just doing it because he's got to get it done. Just totally dedicated. And when you look at him out on the field, the way they're utilizing him, it looks to me like they're priming him to fill that role. And again, nobody's going to be Downs, but all the things that Downs allows them to do on the defense, I think Jaylen McLain has got enough to his game and enough, he's smart enough on the football field that he can allow them to, or at least they'll take a chance and allow him to maybe let them do some of that stuff and give them some of the flexibility that Downs is able to give them. Because this kid is everywhere. He was lining up in the box. He was lining up in the box and then dropping back to cover the post, like pre-snap, post-snap. He was lining up at the edge. He was lining up deep and coming in, getting through the car wash at angles that I was just like, how is he even making that tackle? He was straight up head-to-head with 225-pound CJ Baxter. The dude was everywhere. He was everywhere. He's fast. He's smart. And I'm telling you, this kid's going to be a star. He's going to be an absolute star. When I talk about recruiting, a lot of times we talk about a 3-star guy and people might, oh, I don't want a 3-star guy. And you get it. Everybody, you see the 3-star guy commit to Ohio State, and it's not something we're used to. We don't see it often. They got the highest blue chip ratio. They have had it for a long time. And recently we've seen some more 3-stars. But the fact is, when there aren't that many 3-stars, we don't have a ton of evidence to go back and say, look, here's a pile of successful 3-stars. But we've had them. We've had big time 3-star guys. And what we used to hear 10 years ago when Ohio State would recruit and sign a 3-star and somebody would say, oh, I'm not so happy about that 3-star. And somebody else would say, hey, AJ Hawk was a 3-star, right? And that went on for a long time. Well, in the last 3 or 4 years, the response is now, Chris Olave was a 3-star. So you get that same argument, we got a 3-star, and somebody will come back and say, hey, Chris Olave was a 3-star. And obviously, you understand everybody's point. You want the highest rated guys, and this guy's just making a point here that, hey, these guys can, in fact, be very successful. And, of course, they can. We've had a lot of them at Ohio State. But, the odds are stacked against you, especially this day and age, when these guys are getting so much coverage as high school kids. The recruiting industry is huge. The rankings get better and better. I think that there will be a point in time when we're talking about a 3-star 5 years from now, and somebody says, Jaylen McLain was a 3-star. I think there will be. I think he's that different. I think he's that special. I think this kid is going to be an NFL dude, an early round draft pick, and he's going to be a guy that has a long 10-year career in the NFL, successful as hell, and everybody beams with pride on Sunday that's our dude. Like, that's the kind of guy I think this kid is. He's a superstar waiting to happen. Jaylen McLain was a 3-star.